Hey guys, Latino Rebels Radio. It's March 31st, 2020. It's the second show live. Usually you listen to Latino Rebels Radio on Audio Boom on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. But we've been going live. We've been going live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook. It's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. And I'm just bringing in my guests are already in. Susanne Ramirez de Arellano, you're in Brooklyn. You are, yeah. How do I describe you? You are a,
I don't know. A lot of people would describe me with certain words, but I'm an ex-news director of Univision in Puerto Rico. I'm a writer. I'm a journalist. That's how I started. But now at this stage of the game, I'm mostly a writer. I'm currently writing for Be Latina,
we
which
love.
is a great website
Yep,
by women, for women, and for everybody else.
yep.
Solid content and entertaining content. And I'm a producer. And right now, I sit at the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, thank you for being on. What people, and there's Lisa Cavelli just already shouting out, hey, Lisa, what's up? Thanks for being on the show and watching.
Lisa's
So,
a great source of inspiration for all of us that are out here that are writers and
yeah.
want to get our things out and continue to contribute. So hi, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, so thanks for watching. There's other people this place. Like, first of all, your background, I'm going to go guest solo because people need to see this frame. Ready? One, two, three. Look at that. Look at that. Look, it's beautiful, beautiful frame. But listen, I'm going to go back. I'm going to switch back for a second. Let's talk about Puerto Rico because we're both from Puerto Rico.
Hmm.
We are. I wouldn't even say we're diasporicans. I hate that word diasporican. Soy puertorriqueño, carajo. Like it doesn't matter where I live, and it's and
I think
you know what I'm
somos
saying.
puertorriqueños hasta en la luna.
Hasta en la luna. You know what I'm saying. So
Asunción.
I want to just I'm going to share the screen a little bit, and we can talk a little bit about this, Suzanne. Let me see if I can get the screen going here. There I am. I'm hoping I'm sharing the screen. Oh, of course. I had this all worked out. There I go.
Okay, this is
Live.
live radio. You
All right,
can
I
you
got
can
it.
just
I pulled the latest statistics from the Departamento de Salud in Puerto Rico before we and then we'll talk a little about it. But I just want to share a couple of things according to actual tests that are happening in Puerto Rico right now, and this is the latest information. 2,289 tests have been conducted. There are 239 confirmed cases, 1,195 negative cases, and 854 tests in process. So, Suzanne, oh, and also there are 8 deaths.
there are 8 deaths
Right,
that we know of.
that we know of.
I think
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I think the problem is that we're past the test issue in the sense that everybody, us, the press in the diaspora, and I also don't like that term because, los puertorriqueños viajan y puede ser estar aquí o en Londres o en cualquier sitio. But those of us who live here in the United States have been watching, and and the local press also has been demanding tests. Um, but we're past the test stage. There's supposedly, I think, 200,000 tests or kits they were meant to arrive on Sunday, I believe. They
Right,
haven't arrived, or we don't know if they've arrived.
right,
We're now at the stage where we have to ask questions like, how many ventilators are on the island? Supposedly they're between 300 and 500, and that they've asked for 3,000. When are they getting there? And when you get a ventilator, you also have to have technicians that know how to use them. Do we have the medications to entubar a la
Intubate.
persona.
Intubate. It's a great cognate.
Intubate,
Okay,
intubate a la
it's a
persona.
great cognate. Intubate. It's like it's a perfect
Yeah,
con. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
so so what we're dealing with, is not, and also it's the grim logistics of what to do with the deceased when they arrive at a mortuary. All of these, the logistics of the disease are not clear. And you know I in a situation like this, any governor would be faced with very, very, very difficult decisions. But the problem is that we don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And Julio, you and I are veterans of the
Right.
horrific, yeah, of the horrific lash of trying to get an interview in Puerto Rico. They don't answer your emails, they don't answer your phone calls, and sometimes they spin it in such a way that you think, oh my God, no wonder Gabriel Garcia Marquez never came to Puerto Rico because he would have been out of a job. Una fantasía. And you know this, Julio,
Yeah.
when Maria, and people should know this about you, when Maria hit, there was one person in the diaspora press, los diasporican, the ones that they never want on local press, that kept on asking about the dead, and that was you.
Oh, I
Because
was
you went to the
started it. Yeah.
detail. That is no, Julio, that was you. And
No, but it was
sometimes when
important
you
for
say
me. But
Maria,
mira, it was important for me, and just on that case, because I knew there were so many amazing local Puerto Rican journalists like Omaya Sosa and her colleagues and
right,
other people in the local press and Nuevo Dia and Telemundo. Like everyone was asking the same question. They weren't getting any attention. And I was like, que se joda. I'm going on NBC News and they were going to
yeah,
ask me a question about Trump. And I'm like, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about the dead. And, I was it was one of those moments. You have to grab the moment. But I think you can. I want to share a video. I mean that has gone viral in Puerto Rico, and it has to
mm,
do not only we can talk about the test a little bit, but I also think it shows the leadership issue, and this has to be with. Do you want to introduce this one because you actually know the person who asked Wanda Vasquez this question? Like
yeah.
she worked for you.
Her name is Suheila Mela. She, because I was the news director for Univision, for the news department in Univision in Puerto Rico. We worked together for 4 years. I mean, I was her boss. And you're absolutely right. What I meant was that uh, the local press needed our help in trying to get the details out because they're not getting the information there, and they're working. And this is the clear example of under these circumstances. Suheila Mela asked the right question. She kept on asking the governor to give her the details, and the governor was just blanking her. And at the moment that, and I don't go into the weeds with this issue because it's an issue about somebody that she hired and then was fired, and
Right.
and it gets a little complicated. But she wouldn't answer Suhey, and
So
Suhey is.
she
Mhm.
stuck with it. So
Do you
let's
want to
just
play
play
the
it.
video?
Let's just play it because I have it here. It was on. It was
Sure,
on. It's everywhere on Twitter, and I want to play
sure.
it.
It's okay. That's the way it happens. It's Suhey basically. Suhey is very composed when she's on the anchor chair, and she was asking her, "Can you tell us who was the one that sent the email that asked for a signature
Right.
for a certain delivery of 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 things that later then didn't appear. Um, and the governor, quite frankly, refused to answer her. And then she went into a strop, saying that she hadn't been given the space that she needed to tell the people of Puerto Rico yet again how much she loved them. And Suhey was just telling her, I'm just asking you a direct question. What any journalist would have done. You've got very good journalists on the island who are stonewalled,
Right.
24/7. And I know Suhey personally. She is a top of the line, top drawer journalist. Um, I couldn't believe the behavior of a governor of a nation that is facing dire circumstances.
One of the things that we're connected with people on the island, of course. Like, we're talking to people all the time. I'm getting the mood of the testing hasn't happened. Everything's under lockdown. It's being underreported already. National prayer services aren't going to cut it. There's, let's see. There's American tourists who are just blatantly like ignoring.
It's amazing. That's thank you for bringing it up. It's amazing. They arrest the Puerto Ricans or detain the Puerto Ricans or stop them that are walking around and violating the curfew, which, by the way, today began at 6:30 because I was on the phone with someone talking about something else. Y me dijo que la chicharra de Wanda había sonado, que me tengo que ir porque me tengo que meter aquí porque estoy en el patio. But the tourists in very posh hotels can walk around, and a friend of mine who lives in that area called them up to complain, and she was told that she was being prejudiced against the tourist. No, we actually would like to live because the first case in Puerto Rico was a tourist, and we believe, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not a doctor. And but my fear, let's put it this way, is that they allowed a lot of those people from the ship to walk around Old San Juan, and then they close it down, and they didn't close it down like they closed it down.
You're not the only person who has said that. I have friends who live in San Juan. I have friends who live in Condado who are business owners who were actually in Viejo San Juan all day. It was Sunday. It was like on a week then. And they were kind of like, they found out about the testing, and it was like they literally let all these cruise passengers out for a couple of days. No one fucking knows. Nadie sabe lo que, you know what I mean?
Exacto. Nadie sabe quién, o sea, the first person that actually died on the island era un turista, y entonces tiene a todos estos turistas andando por ahí, y entonces tú sabes, tú llamas, te quejas y te dice, que you're profiling, fue lo que le dijeron a mi amiga. ¿Profiling qué? Un blanco con los ojos azules, ¿qué tú me estás hablando? Y ese es el problema. And my point about the importance of a show like this is that it gives another avenue and venue to local journalists in Puerto Rico to actually do the job that they know how to do.
Right.
And when you kept on insisting about the deaths on NBC and on Anglo media, and this is really sad to say, that is when politicians in Puerto Rico had to answer the questions, because we gave the local press the ammunition, and that is why this show is so important. And having people that live on the island, that know the island, that travel, that live here, that know both worlds. Because one of the things, Julio, that really disturbs me is that we here in the United States are, I can't even find the word, distraught, devastated, gobsmacked. We've passed the what the fuck is going on scenario to this catastrophic mismanagement. And the Puerto Rican government is telling the Puerto Rican people that the cavalry, the United States, is coming. Pero guess what? The cavalry está jodido. So this is where
I have to laugh. I'm sorry. It's hard to, like, if I don't laugh in times of tragedy.
We have to.
Because I think the one thing that you bring up that is, I find really fascinating and doesn't surprise me is, is that when the governor decided to enact the curfew, earlier than a lot of other governors, right? And it was just kind of, okay, you wonder why. ¿Me entiende? You wonder, okay, all of a sudden we went from like 2 or 3 cruise ships to like a friggin' curfew, like in 2 or 3 days. And there's a history, hay una historia de incompetencia. There's no other word in Puerto Rico. There's a distrust el pueblo no, tú sabes, después de María o antes de María, que no confía, el pueblo no confía en el gobierno. They don't trust the government. So when then they hear curfew, right, Suzanne? When they hear curfew, and then it's like 3 days later, they're like, all right, what the fuck just happened? And I think that's the, and then when you have, I had Daniel Colon at Yale. If people are Latino Rebels radio fans, we did a show with him 2 weeks ago. And he basically is a scientist. And I asked him straight up, I'm like, what? Tell me, I'm a non-scientist. How bad is this? And he was like, Julio, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it's bad. And I don't understand, especially with the medical talent in Puerto Rico, Suzanne, that could test immediately. What the fuck?
That's right.
I mean,
David Begnois did an interview the other day with two women that were private clinics, I think, or private doctors. I'm not sure. And they were saying that they had contracted an outside party to bring the test in. It is the utter lack, of organization. It is the constant spinning and turning the back on telling the truth. And the reason is, I think there's two reasons. First, these people have politicized the disease.
Yeah.
And in my book, that's a crime. Because right now, you have to do a Cuomo. Right now, Andrew Cuomo, why do you think every time he comes on those press conferences, you hear the song, it's just a little crush? Because we're all looking, this is the guy that's going to take me off of the Titanic, But this guy goes down to ventilators, to the logistics of the disease.
Right.
That's one. Two, because they've politicized this disease, everybody is trying to gain political capital. Pipo el breve, Jesus, cállate, por favor, no te necesitamos ahora. Everybody around is trying to grasp that. And in doing that, they have they've converted communications into a Frankenstein thing, where you don't know what to believe.
Right.
So people are sitting there going, what is going on?
Right.
We depend on you, and past experience has shown us that we can't trust you. And the other thing is, never forget, this woman was put there. Wanda Vázquez was not elected. She was put there, and she is, and I am so sorry, but I have to say it, the handmaiden of the chat boys. It's the same people.
Oh, yeah. So listen, I'm going to share the screen again. I'm going to try this again, and because I want to show two things here. That first of all, there was a story that came out of the Associated Press by the fabulous Danica Cotto. She's
job.
Amazing. She's one of my favorite journalists in Puerto Rico. And actually, she's from Costa Rica. She's an adopted Puerto Riqueña. But she writes for the Associated Press. And if people who really want to follow news in English about Puerto Rico, of journalism, we publish the Associated Press on Latino Rebels. And we published all of Danica's work, because I was like, anytime she writes about Puerto Rico, we're publishing. But one story that came out tonight, guys, is that 3 police stations have been closed, have been shuttered, because police officers are getting tested for coronavirus. So tell me about that, Suzanne, because can you imagine police officers? Yeah, what's going on with that?
I'll tell you, there's 44 that have been isolated right now. I find it bloody unbelievable that, again, we go back to the logistics. Who do you have to think of first? Los policías, los bomberos, los enfermeros, los médicos, los que los transportan. Coño, sean lógicos. So,
right.
and this police force, which is the largest police force, if you want to say the United States, pero you know que yo soy independentista y nosotros no somos parte de los Estados Unidos y me rehuso, but anyway.
That just like someone's gonna say something on Twitter about us. They always think the just because we're journalists. You know what I mean? Like I always get that. So continue. Don't worry about it. A mí me importa tres carajo.
Yeah, claro. If they don't talk about me, entonces I worry. Pero the conditions they work under anyway are not the best. I spent a whole night doing a story for Channel 4 in the UK after Maria. We spent a whole night in a police station. We went with them in the cars. We went with them when they intervened and arrested some gatilleros, which are hitmen, the younger semi-lieutenants of the narcos. And it's not fun. It's not cops, man. It's not what you think. So instead of, of course they're going to be infected. They didn't have the proper gear. And that's what a lot of people are saying. We don't have the proper gear. So this is my question. She's being criticized for having been slow. Then she locks the place down tight. People, because coupled with JGO, which we all know is Jennifer Gonzalez, the resident commissioner, saying that money was coming from Washington. Don't worry, but we haven't seen it. And after you've done all of this,
right.
And I wonder why you locked it down so fast. Did somebody tell you better lock it down because we don't know how many are infected because you let those people walk around?
That's a valid, yeah.
But then you don't take las medidas that are. It's Julio. It's common sense.
Yeah, they should be testing everyone. I mean, they should just do it. And the thing is, you can.
Right. And then they go on the campaign trail with how much they love people. And they bring in 2 or 3 Evangelita, la Wanda Rolón, la Tata Charbonnier, not beloved. Pero you read Twitter as much as I do. You're hooked in as much as I do. People in Puerto Rico don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So so I'm going to share one more screen for our viewers, and I'll explain it to you, Susanne, because you can't see it. But it's a picture of Wanda Vasquez last week at Fortaleza, and in the back of the picture, guys, there's Natalie Jaresco, who is the executive director of La Junta, the Fiscal Control Board, and there's Carrion, who is the head of the Fiscal Control Board. I think this was the first time ever that I've ever seen the Fiscal Control Board with a governor. What did you think about that image? Because I haven't even asked you about this, but that just to me was
yeah. What do I think about the image? Okay. Well, when I saw that image, what I did on Twitter was I posted a wonderful picture of Nosferatu, but the one done by Klaus Kinski, which is the one like this. And for me, seeing and let's explain to people that don't understand, that don't know, that this man is known in Puerto Rico as Tres Palito, which means 3 sticks, because his name is Carrion with a 3, he's known as Tres Palito, and has nothing to do
only
with,
in Puerto Rico.
Anything.
I just love it.
I just like the Tres Palito. And I think that was a very telling photograph. I think that it showed we're releasing the money, we're letting you use the budget, but we're in back watching.
Who's in charge? Who's really in charge here?
Exacto. And it's the junta, and he is the face of the junta.
Right.
And it was like, when I looked at him, I thought of Nosferatu, and I also thought of Rasputin. Um,
Damn, you
he,
like bringing it down. I mean, it's
well,
the
he's
truth.
not.
It's like serious questions, and you just wonder, Suzanne. Before we wrap up, I want to just like there's a couple of comments, and I just want to acknowledge like our live audience here, and one of them comes from Jessica Francis, and she's like, y las leyes que están pasando mientras la gente, especialmente los estudiantes y los maestros, pueden salir a protestar. I mean, it's like you can't even express yourself. Like,
No,
it's a curfew.
los
Mira, I don't
tienen.
know about you guys, pero conmigo, todos mis amigos, they're like, I can't even freaking walk my dog. Yo no puedo sacar el perro. I mean, I don't know what.
And and that's why I think that que hay gato encerrado. That's why I think, somebody, there's a cat, some cloistered somewhere. Aquí hay gato encerrado, and
Sí.
maybe, I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to look at it a different way, but and when I saw the guy from the junta and back, I'm going, ay Maria, what are you guys doing?
Just give the fucking all they need to do is like how much money, like they have so much money in reserves, they won't even talk to me. I will get Juresco for an interview eventually, but people don't need to understand there's like billions and billions and billions of dollars that could be released right now, but it's reserved for debt payments. And then the Puerto Rican government, and one of the things the junta does is that they say, well, no one's paying any debt right now. Yeah, but you're hoarding up all this money. And what Puerto Rico right now needs is cash to pay for tests, to take care of its people, to make people, we have to be serious. 100,000 to 200,000 people, according to the White House, are in American jurisprudence, are estimated to die, even with mitigation. And the numbers in Puerto Rico
on an island, and the thing that worries me, is that a lot of people think that because of the temperature, the heat, it's going to be less. We don't know. We don't even know how airborne it is. This is a virus like we've never seen before.
Right.
It is so much more aggressive. And my worry is that you clamped it down tight. Why? What did you know? And if you're going to clamp it down tight, just be honest with people.
Yeah.
Tell me what you have and you don't have. And the other point that you made, sorry, Julio, is
that
you're absolutely right. The junta, what it's doing is it's releasing money and saying, mira, te voy a dar estos chavitos para que pueda. Mira, porque te voy a dar estos chavitos. Right now, don't pay the debt.
Yeah, just say screw. If I were Wanda Vasquez right now, and I will say before, this is my last point, but I'm just going to acknowledge Virginia Rivera, who made a comment saying that she can walk her dog in Puerto Rico. Good for you, Virginia. I actually got texts from friends of mine who were like, I was out and the cops pulled me over. So it depends. It really depends on where you are. But good for you, Virginia, to take the dog out.
Sure, but they have to be careful. But why? This is what I want to know. Why? And if she really loves us that much, God bless her. But my skeptic journal old heart mind.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say one last thing before we wrap it up about La Junta. If I were Wanda Vasquez, and I would just be like, yo voy a sacar los chavos. Nos vemos tú sabes, si me quieren dar una demanda, if you want to sue me after, we can talk about it after, but I need to save my people, get out of the way. Pero that's the thing, it's like, this is not the time to be polite. And I think the people of Puerto Rico deserve it, and you need a leadership now more than ever to be like, esto es importante, we need to, she needs to, and it shouldn't be like, we're all in this, it's just so powder puffery. I don't know how else to say it, but Suzanne, you get the last word. You get the last word before I wrap up. Okay. What's your last word here?
Okay. I just think that this is not the time to run your campaign. That you all of them are running their political campaigns, thinking of the primaries and the elections in November. You have politicized the disease, and if you don't change, your people are going to die. That is the message.
Susanne Ramirez de Arellano, really good friend, incredible contributor, former news director, ABC News, Associated Press is at Be Latina too. Can you promise me this? Can you have the people at Be Latina actually contact me? Because we want to help
I
them.
will. I
Okay?
will.
You have me on record saying it. We want to help amplify voices of new Latino and Latina startups. We were there 10 years ago, guys. We know a lot. There's a lot. The wheel has been invented. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're here to help. So
thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Susanne. Guys, seriously. It's guys, that was Susanne. I really appreciate her time. I really appreciate everyone. We're getting comments. My mom is on. Hey, Mom. Good message. Let her learn from Cuomo. That's what my mother just said. We got Luis Munoz. Saludos. Other people. Thanks so much. Guys, we wanted to do something a little bit different. A break from the mainstream cable news, repetitive information. I'm going to tell you right now, I've been watching CNN. I've been watching MSNBC. I've been watching Fox. I do watch Fox because you got to learn what everyone says. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have not seen one report about Puerto Rico at all. Not one report, right? So to me, when you talk about the hurricane and the earthquakes and all the other things, everyone was talking about Puerto Rico. I understand there's a global pandemic, but at the same time, you can't ignore Puerto Rico all of a sudden when it's like we are part of this conversation. And there's a lot of issues that are happening in Puerto Rico with a governor who was not elected. Let's be honest. She's a Republican pro-statehood governor. That is the reality. It's, political mediocrity once again in Puerto Rico. There's no other way to spin it. Anyone who wants to get into a politiqueria conversation with me about it doesn't realize that this is a bigger, deeper problem that happens with the political class of Puerto Rico. And I'm telling you, whether you're red or blue, it doesn't matter. This is a lack of leadership. And I really, really question who is leading the island. And this is really, really important. But that is something that, the indications that Puerto Rico could become a hotspot. Think about that. I want to thank Susanne Ramirez de Arellano one more time. Guys, we're going to do this again tomorrow. Tomorrow's guest, if you are an old school Latino Rebels radio fan, is my former host, Charis Delgadillo, who's going to be coming in from a hotspot in Los Angeles. And anyway, like we always do, we always close out with La Plebe, Venas Abiertas on Latino Rebels Radio, and we're going to do it here on Facebook. Guys, Julio Ricardo Varela, we are out of here. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's do it.